So it looks like things have started, but gotta make sure this pops up over here on the YouTube and that it actually looks decent. It's been a long while since I've done one of these, kind of out of practice, so to speak. But yeah, that looks fine. What's going on, people? So I usually do these things monthly, try to anyways, and try to do them earlier in the month, like right after like the previous month ends or whatever. Do a little recap over some things that I wore for reasons that kind of make sense, right, to me. And I say that because it's like I do them just because I'm not doing much other content right now. So I figured this is better than nothing, right? Maybe I'm wrong. You guys let me know. But, anyways, so this time around, I'm going to go back to something that I had mentioned months ago when I said that maybe with some of these, I'll start kind of going back over some things that I've done reviews on, but, didn't have a whole lot to say because sometimes I do a video over something and it's like I unbox it, I talk about it, blah, 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 but I can't give you a whole lot to work with, right? Because it's just something that's like completely brand new to me. So sometimes I like to wear some stuff and then kind of get back to the people, let them know what I think after the fact, after they've been out into the real world and such. And so not all of these fit that description, but some of them do, right? Some of them are just ones that I haven't worn in a while and just kind of wanted a personal refresher. But I'm going to go through some things, talk about some stuff, and I'm going to try to pay attention, but I'm also going to be watching NXT, which comes on in some sort of time less than 60 seconds because it says 7:59 on the clock. So there's that. There's the backstory. First up, we got this right here. This is the A6 Cumulus, right? DV Kicks. You were just talking about me. Was it good or was it bad? That's my question. And was it accurate? That probably should have been the first question. I have both questions though. If you want to leave both answers, please go ahead and leave them, where you just left that statement. But so I believe you're back in Virginia now. Is that right? We're gonna have to like get together sometime. It's been like, oh man, like at that time I saw you. Was that last year? Jeez, it feels like it was like a long time ago. So this right here is the Asics Cumulus, right? So as far as like their running shoes go, they've got a lot of them, but the Cumulus is kind of like on the lower end, and then on the higher end you have like stuff like the Kayanos and the Nimbus, right? And these right here, like I do really like the look of this. It's a cool look, the way they did this whole pattern and the overlays and all that stuff. Unfortunately, the shoe just is not very comfortable. It feels like something that would cost what it costs. So for that reason, I can't really look down on them. But when you get used to certain things of certain prices or certain tiers or whatever, oh, this is just not really the one. Let's see. I was saying how you can drop 10 videos in it. Yeah, I haven't done that lately because I've been trying to like do all this school stuff, because like I'm almost to the end of it, right? I finished the second to last class today, so now I got to write some big long whatever for the next one, and then that'll be behind me, and I'll be like some kind of like college man at that point, and maybe then the world will think I'm great. I don't know. I honestly didn't really think this whole thing through, and I realize that now because it's like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the real reason here? But since I'm almost done, I'm just gonna see it through. Okay, well, yeah, if you're back, man, I'll have to get together sometime. This right here, the Yeezy 700. Remember back in the olden days when Adidas used to make these Yeezys and stuff every so often? So I have a number of them, right? I don't know what that number is, but it's a number. And some of them, like, they're mostly 350s, right? And I can talk all day about a 350. But this here 700 V3, I didn't have a whole lot to say. I have no idea who a lot of these people are on NXT nowadays. They're just every time I turn it on, just some random dude. It's like just walking through Walmart or something. You just see like random people everywhere. That's how this is. And some of them just look weird. So I picked these up a while ago. Didn't think so highly of them in some ways. I like the color and stuff though. But the biggest issue I had was like this upper piece here, like around the top. It is super difficult to get your foot in there depending on what your foot shape is like. And I realized after wearing these for a day that this here stuff, it kind of digs into your feet and well up into your lower ankle area in a way that I am not a fan of and would not really recommend. So I was like, well, let me try buying a size up, right? Well, half size up, which would be a 10 for me. So I do have a size 10 of these somewhere. I don't know where they are because I haven't done reviews and stuff, so they're wherever shoes are piled around here. And I'll try it at that point and see what I think. But yeah, just these overall for that reason, I'm not really a huge fan of it, and most of them don't look great, to be completely honest. Comfort wise, they're not like terrible. You know what I'm saying? There's still better stuff out there. But I guess these are a thing of the past anyway, so what's it really matter, right? But that's my take on them, anyways. Otherwise, I mean, if you can find a color that you like and you know like how they're gonna feel on your feet, fit sizing wise, I mean, it's not bad, right? But oh my god, like that upper piece, you know, it's the things that you just don't really know until you buy something. Though I could have watched a review on them, right? But if you know me, you know that I don't watch reviews unless they're made by like friends of mine. So I tend to not know a lot about most shoes. This up here next, I didn't show you the thing, but maybe some of you caught it. The Grand Hill 2, right? Now, when I was in ninth grade back in 96/97, remember seeing these everywhere and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool, whatever that may happen to be. 25 years later, I now have my own pair. And, I don't dislike these. Normally, this is something that I would not be a fan of. Big, bulky looking, what is it? Basketball shoes, right? I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. It's like not like an uncommon word. Big, bulky basketball shoes here. Yeah, normally not my thing. But this one, for nostalgia reasons, I was like cool with it. And so I bought a 9.5, went true to size on them. Thought, yeah, this isn't terrible. I was walking around in them though. I was like, you know what? Should have gone a half size down. I knew I should have, but it's fine, right? Wear some thicker socks kind of offsets the whole thing. But when I got the Tropic Thunder, not Tropic Thunder, what's that? The Flint Tropics from Semi Pro. When I got those, I did go a half size down. Those fit like better. Otherwise, they're actually not bad. They're not like wildly uncomfortable like I kind of thought they might be. So that was cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably pretty much done with this model though at this point because, I mean, how many does someone need of this? I thought I was done with this pair, right? Because it was the one that I wanted, but then they broke out that semi-pro colorway and well, both colorways. I wasn't sure which one I wanted, so I bought both. That's a thing that I do from time to time. That's how I ended up with some of my first New Balance shoes. This right here, that's an A6 Dynablast, right? So go ahead and break these things out. Like, since last month was Halloween, I figured I would kind of like wear some things that kind of had like a Halloweenish type of thing to them. So these, we got like the ghosts and goblins or something. We got some kind of slime on the outside for whatever reason. So yeah, I broke these out for that reason, right? And I will say, like I said before, kind of like with the Cumulus or whatever, it's a cheaper running shoe and it feels like a cheaper running shoe, but they're pretty decent for like walking. It's just when I did the performance test in these, I was not really thrilled about it just because, I'm used to certain other things. So I can't look down on them for what they are because they perform about how I would expect them to perform for, cost and such, right? And they look pretty neat. But I'm not going to buy these more so anyway. But the thing is, sometimes you can buy like a cheaper thing that does perform as well as the higher price thing. Case in point with these SL20s that I'll get to in a minute. But the Dynablast, nah, they just had a decent look to them. I'm missing stuff in the chat thing here. What's this? I mix up Flint Tropics, Tropic Thunder almost every time. Okay, so it's not just me. All right, well, fantastic. And Big Toe Little Foot says, oh, I caught a live. I also caught the live too, so that's cool. On to week number 2. These are broken down by weeks. I don't know if anybody has caught on to that over the course of these live things that I've been doing, but I break them down into weeks, right? Sometimes like, chronologically in each column or whatever. This time they are actually. So everything you saw in the previous one, I wore them in that order. It kind of helps me keep track of making sure I have everything that I need to talk about for these things. So, started off week number 2 with this for some odd reason. All right, it was Columbus Day or National, what's the thing? Indigenous Peoples Day? Yeah, I was about to say Indonesian, but I corrected it. So anyways, I thought like they were trail type people, so I'm gonna wear a trail type shoe. It just made sense. And I had more of these in a while. Yeah, I still do not care for the NMD. Like, I want to like it because it's a Boost shoe, it's an Adidas shoe. I like both things, but I just can't get into them. These are pretty decent as far as trail wear goes or whatever. Still crazy how big these things are. I ended up going with a 9.5 at first. Then I sent those off to my brother. Bought the 9 for me. It's better, but when I wear like my thinner socks, it's still terrible, right? So yeah, these NMD trail whatever they were called, the sizing of them is not great. But it's good for what it's made for if you find the right size. You know. But the thing is, still, the NMD comfort is just overall, it's just not there. Except for, did I do the PK ones this month? I don't know if I did. I think that might have been a November thing. But if I did the PK ones, then I'll talk about those in a minute, right? If not, just know that those are better. The XR1 PK, excuse me. Let's see. Okay, make sure I'm not missing anything else. So, Vans box, right? I don't have a whole lot of Vans shoes, but I have enough. I actually just bought one the other day. This is the Ultra Range EXO SE. It's the Chris Johansson colorway, right? There might still be like the sticker thing in here. Yeah, Chris Johansson. I don't know if anybody knows who he is, but he's some kind of art man. And so he designed these. It's kind of cool, It's got like a nice little canvas style upper. Each one is a little bit different. I think it's like the Wings 5s where like no two pairs will look exactly the same or whatever just because of how they did it, even though they'll all have the same sort of vibe to them. But yeah, and they have the cork insole with that, is it Ultra Cush? These have the Ultra Cush. So that's what I like about these. They're actually like a very comfortable Vans shoe, which is not something that I encounter a lot. A lot of people say, "Oh, I like my Vans." Like, well, that's great. If you like it, you like it. But I'm not you, so your opinion, it kind of doesn't matter in some ways, right? It is what it is. I'm going to stand by that. So, anyways, I bought these and I was wearing them and I was like, yeah, these are pretty all right. And then I had not worn them in so many moons and I figured let's go break them out. And you know what? Still very nice. Overall, one of my favorite things to wear, honestly. I don't wear them a lot though because I have a lot of shoes and it's hard to get to all of them regularly, right? I do get to them irregularly by a lot of people's standards because several months pass between me repeating shoes most of the time. So, moving along. A6. It popped up a couple times this month. I think this is the last one, right? But yeah, so the A6 here. This is the Kayano 14, right? Yeah. Now, had I known about these when these first came out, however long ago, I don't know if they do one a year, but if they do one a year, this would have been 15 years ago. Yeah, so if I had known about these back then, I probably would have jumped on these and been a pretty big A6 fan right about now because I was walking around in these and they are really nice. I'm not trying to oversell them or whatever, but I just really like these a lot, especially for something that's kind of old and it still kind of holds up like that. The color choices, I mean, they may not be there for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I like this one, but I don't see a lot of them that I would actually want to buy. But overall, just as a model and stuff, let's see, what was 15 years ago? 2007, I guess. Yeah. Back then, I wasn't really buying a whole lot of variety or whatever, mostly just like the yearly Air Maxes. So I probably would have jumped pretty deep into like the A6 rabbit hole of things and been buying a whole bunch of them. Who knows? There might not be an A6, or there might be an A6 thing up there on the wall if that was the case. You never really know, right? But I'm on board now, so I do have another pair of the Kayano 14s, and I have some 27s as well. But yeah, it's a pretty decent thing if you're looking for something of that style. This right here broke out a pair of 5s. For anybody who's been paying attention and listens through my ramblings and such, if you don't, I get it. The videos do run long. But these right here, the 5, it is in my top 3 Jordan models, the 12, the 5, the 7, not necessarily in that order, right? But I don't wear a lot of them. And I did wear these, and I was thinking while I was doing it, it's like, these aren't terrible, but it's still, I still just feel weird wearing high top shoes because I wear so many low top ones. But these overall, like, I mean, I'm still not gonna say that they're like great for comfort or whatever. Like, they're not overly offensive, but it's definitely not something I would turn to if I knew I was gonna be out all day doing something. When I'm going to work, it's different, right? So these are fine for that, but otherwise, I'd probably have to lean towards something else. But I do like the 3M thing. And one of the other things I was wondering about is if they were going to crease a whole lot. There is a fair amount of that going on at the top, sure, right? But that's kind of to be expected. But I thought they were going to be like significantly worse. Like it was just going to be all cracked up and everything everywhere. But no, and I actually like went against my own personal rule of wearing the same thing twice and wore these to Cracker Barrel, I think, the next day or something. Yeah, yeah. So they don't look as bad, but I can see why some people like were not a fan of buying them because of the whole not cracking, but creasing. I get it, right? I do. But they're shoes. Like if you wear them, which is what you're supposed to do, then they're not going to look pristine forever. You just got to accept that, right? But yeah, everybody's got their things, right? The little quirks and such. And then, like I was saying, I was wearing things that kind of had like a Halloween sort of vibe. So I went with these because they look like they're dipped in blood or something. One of my favorite Air Max Pluses. The Air Max Plus is actually one of my favorite Air Maxes, period, you know? So this right here is like high up there in my overall shoe likings or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, nothing to really say about these because I talk about them fairly regularly. So I'll just say that these are really comfortable and they come in enough colors that mostly anybody could find a pair they like. It's also the one model that everyone in my family has a pair of, right? Yeah, yeah. So there's that piece of it. That's how much I like them that I've bought some extras over the years. It's actually, you know what? My brother doesn't have one. So does he? No, he doesn't. So I'm gonna have to get on that. Maybe send him a pair for Christmas or something if I can find one that's a decent color. Maybe something USC colored if they have it. He went there for school. So stack number three. We're halfway done, people. That was two. So let's go ahead and get through this. This match is still on? Jesus Christ. It's Braun Breaker and some dude from wherever. Did he just win? Was that, or did he just throw him on the ground? I don't know. He had him like kind of like a master lock or a hurt lock or whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's get back on track here. So this right here, this is actually one of the coolest things I have, like period. And I say that because, like, I mean, it has some nice sway going on down in here, right? So there's that piece of it. But the thing is, these are waterproof, right? You might not know it to look at them, but they are. There's even like a little tag in here that goes over all the details, wherever that may be. Probably in one of the shoes or something. Yeah. See, it's got like this, some kind of thing, eco something water, whatever. But yeah, so if you saw the review of these, you saw me hold them under the faucet and like watching all the water just run off, and then they were all like dry as a bone and stuff. It was really cool, right? So it was raining one day, and I actually hadn't worn these. Didn't really know that until I thought about it. But yeah, since I hadn't worn these, I figured let's go break these things out since it's raining, and this makes sense for rain wear. And it worked out pretty well, so I do like these. The one thing that sucks is the comfort, because the comfort of standard Vans type shoes, which is what these are, it is non-existent. Again, I know some people will sit there and say like they like it and whatnot, and if that's your thing, that's your thing. But like I said before, not all opinions matter all that much, right? The one that should matter the most is your own, to you. So there's that. Moving along. Let's see. Okay. And I know there's like people watching this, like, because I have peers and friends and such that do the whole YouTube thing, and they're always like, "Oh, let's get those. Let's get some comments in here." Like, I'm a big fan of like just like turning things on and just letting it be background noise. So if you're doing that and you're not really paying attention, like, it's cool. I don't care, right? So don't feel like obligated to say anything. I know there are people saying stuff before, but you don't have to. I treat these like normal videos, so I just like go straight through it. You know what I'm saying, and then wrap it up when I'm done. This right here is the ZX I want to say 8,000. Is it 8,000? 1,000. This is the ZX 1000. Flaming Moe's, right? Remember that from The Simpsons? If anybody was a Simpsons person, whenever this episode was going on, which is like the 90s, I guess. So you got the Flaming Moe's at the top and all that good stuff. So these right here, like I really wish I had decided to get them when they were everywhere, but I waited a few days and then like sizes were kind of selling out and whatever. So I did end up going with like a size 9, whereas I would prefer the 9.5. But you know, thinner socks help things work out a little bit better. And so overall, they still feel really nice. I'm a big fan of the ZX line because they have enough different models that kind of give you like a different look and a bunch of different colors, so you can kind of get the same point across without having too many of the same model, right? Because I don't want to have a whole lot of the same model, which is the thing that I've done pretty well with. I mean, obviously, like the 350 and the 12, the Jordan 12, I have a whole bunch of those and the Foamposite, right? But everything else, I don't think I'm in the double digits for any other single model, right? Pretty sure. Even like Ultra Boost, like when I break them down by year and such. Yeah. But these right here, the ZX line, like give a search for them. Like, you know, not these necessarily, but check out online just to see what other models are out there between like the 8,000, the 1,000, the 10,000, right? The 5K. And you'll probably find one that you like, and probably for a price that you're willing to pay. And you should be cool with them as far as daily wear goes too. So there is that. That's just my take on it. But if they, from what I've seen of the other ones, like you would want to stick with the whole true to size thing. But sometimes certain shoes feel like they're just enough, just roomy enough that if my primary size isn't available, I'll go down rather than up. And that's one of those situations. So these right here, I was talking about these a moment ago. This is the Adidas SL20, the first SL20. One of the things I don't like about Adidas is that they'll make some amazing things, right? But they'll make like 2 colors and then just walk away from it. And that's kind of what happened with the SL20. Now, this, as it says on the inside, it's one of the light strike shoes, right? So it's kind of like Boost, but it's their own material and it's supposed to be lighter. And so it's more comfortable, more cushiony and all that, so they can use less of it to give you the same feeling of a Boost shoe, right? Which overall makes them lighter. You wouldn't believe how light these things are. Unless you own a pair, then you probably would. But these right here, whatever year I bought these, I was like, man, this is something that I would like to see more of, you know? And then they didn't really make more of them. They do have other ones, like I've seen the SL 20.2 and the 20.3 or whatever. They don't look as good as these, right? And I don't want to buy something that kind of looks crappy, you know? So I wish they would bring more back that look like these, you know, or is it something that I would want to wear? I even bought my dad a pair of these and he like wears them all the time, you know? So yeah, it'd be nice, but it is what it is. If you're looking for a good running shoe though, don't look past the light strike because it's actually like really nice. You might think that it's cheap and kind of worthless because it looks cheap and kind of worthless, but it's actually really good. Like, I was very surprised, like very, very surprised. Because you know I've worn a lot of things, you know, like with those Dynablast, those are in the same price range, I think. And these were like, I could see why people say like, oh, you know what, maybe I don't need the Boost. Maybe this light strike is fine. It's at least worth having the conversation and the debate, I think. What isn't is what's in this box right here. So this is the 4D Fusio, right? Remember these? Got those little Bane tubes and such, and this like weird little plastic thing going on. Kind of like the what's that? The Air Max 2021. And then down under here you have like the 4D sort of printed sole thing going on, right? So these, for one, are heavy. They are very heavy. Definitely super bottom heavy. It's like a Vans shoe in that way, but heavier. And then this extra layer of stuff doesn't help either, you know. The upper, super light, you know, because it is like the Primeknit stuff, so that's cool. But they still also just don't feel great, you know. Like I've worn a few 4D shoes, and these are better than some. I'll give them that. But the ones that I really like the Future Crafts, those are really good. The Ultra 4Ds. Did I wear? No, that was not this month. The Ultra 4Ds. There was something else too, but this overall, I mean, luckily, like when I made the video, it was before anybody cared about them. So I bought them because it was a recommendation. Because like I asked people what they wanted to see me talk about, and this was one of the things. I was like, you know what, I can do that. Let's do it. So I bought a pair. And then later on, like nobody else was buying them, so they went on sale. And then a bunch of people started watching the video and stuff. So that was cool, sure. But past that, it's just kind of one of those things where sometimes you want to like something and then it just doesn't quite work out how you want it to work out, you know? But whatever, I have them now. It's a thing that I will break out once in a while, especially if it's something where I maybe don't mind getting something messed up because, you know, those only mean so much to me. Now, finishing off week number 3, we have this here. This is an Air Max 270. Now, the Air Max 270, what was that, 2018 when those came out? Because, yeah, it was like right around the same time as the, what was that, the Vapor Max 2.0, or Vapor Max 2, excuse me. So anyway, like those came around at the same time and stuff, and I was thinking like, okay, that's cool, you know. I was big into the Air Max thing, still am, and I picked up some pairs, you know. It's not my favorite of the Air Max line, though. The thing that is cool about them, much like the NMD, is that they're cheap and they come in a million colors, right? So you'll probably find a pair or several that you actually like. But when compared to other things, I would prefer mostly any other Air Max model that I have over these, right? And I'm not trying to say they're like that bad. It's just, to me, they're just not that good, you know? So maybe that makes sense. But they're still better than like the 720, that's for sure. I think I would still overall would probably go with these maybe over the, not the Tailwind, the what's that? I can't even think of the name of it now. It looks almost like an Air Max Deluxe, but it's not, you know? What was that? Oh, the Air Tuned Max. That's what that thing was. I still take them over that too, maybe, because the fit of those was a little weird, you know? But it's still one of those things. Like, they're doing pretty well. They seem to anyways, because like they're still being sold a lot. But I wore them, walked around in them for the day, because again, Halloween style things. You know, I just don't see the hype. But I think there's also not any hype behind them anyway. Chaotic, what's going on, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, I don't think there's any hype behind these anyway. Even for like the collaborational type ones, I think they were just kind of looked over too. But they work for, you know, the price range and stuff. You know, if you're looking for something that's relatively cheap, that's going to give you some decent comfort, yeah, cool, sure, whatever. But are there better things? Almost always. Almost always. All right. Let's see what's going on over here. Let's see, what do we have? This is, what's her name? I can never remember these people's names, but I recognize this woman on TV. I actually saw her when I was going to my Zoe something. I actually saw her when I was at WrestleMania this year, when I was walking to my seat, because she was like walking from her seat. So I was like, huh, that's weird. This is the Air More Up Tempo, something like that. Either way, Scottie Pippen used to wear these apparently, you know? I don't really remember that because I wasn't paying attention close enough to remember that. But when I saw the pictures later, I was like, oh yeah, he did have those on. So this was a pair that I saw a long while ago and I wanted, but I waited too long and then it disappeared. Then I got these early actually because they made a re-release, which I thought was just like residual pairs from the previous release, around the time that I got those black and purple Jordans, the dark Concord or something. But like I saw those in Jimmy Jazz and I was like, I want those right there. Do you have this size? And he's like, no. And I was like, okay, I'll take that pair off the shelf then. And so that's how that worked out, you know? And it was cool because I was thinking, you know, wow, I finally got something that I wanted, you know, patience paid off. And then like a week later, they did this massive release and these things were flooding the shelves everywhere. Crazy discounts happened like a month after that. I could have saved a lot of money, but it's cool. It worked out on the views side of things because a lot of people like were flocking to watch this. I think it's like my best performing video for last year and part of this year. So that worked out for me. But As far as like wearing these though, they do look bulkier, right? But they don't feel like it. The one thing I don't like is just the sizing because these are a 9, right? Yeah. These feel a little big, right? I remember trying these on in El Paso at Cielo Vista Mall or whatever. And like I was in my head, I was thinking like, didn't I want an 8.5? And I was like, the 9 will probably be fine, whatever. And it works, but like I think I would have rather have gone down more, which for me would have been a full size down. I don't think that's necessary for everybody, but just know that these things got some room in them. But walking around in them though, they don't feel like they look. And the comfort down here with the whole Air Max thing or whatever, very nice. So yeah, these definitely get a thumbs up from me. If they ever redo the UNC pair, that's the one other pair of these that I want. So hopefully it happens. I remember looking at those in Foot Locker and thinking like, oh yeah, I'll get them next time. So I was always like buying other stuff or whatever. And then I went back down there one day and they were just all gone. I was like, man. And now they are super expensive because I look at them every so often on the internet when like McFly will post his pair or something like that. Uh, Sad times, but I get so much stuff that like for me to be mad about missing out on something, it's ridiculous. This is the Jordan 7 Sapphire. Right now, I don't know how the sevens rank for a lot of people. I feel like they don't rank very highly because people seem to talk about them like an afterthought, right? And I don't know where that comes from, honestly, because I don't really follow things that closely. But I will say, like I said before, this is in my top 3 favorite models, and they actually feel pretty decent. I was walking around them. They got that little booty thing in there, kind of like the Jordan 9s, kind of like Hirachis, things of that nature. So you may want to think twice about like what size you get because true to size is probably going to be fine for most people or whatever, but you do lose a little bit of room just because some of the extra room is taken up by the build of it or whatever. Not a big deal to me or whatever, but it's just something worth thinking about. Luckily, since sevens don't really seem to sell a whole lot, you can probably find a pair, buy it. If it doesn't work out, return it, get your size that you do want. Because even those Afro Beats ones, which I thought were going to move quickly because they seemed like it was going to be a limited thing, no, not at all. I think those are still on like Lapstone and Hammer or Nice Kicks or one of those random websites. But this right here, I can also see why this one in particular didn't sell a whole lot because it's not like the color that a lot of people are really flocking to or whatever. And some people weren't a big fan of this whole meshy transparency thing going on there, right? I get it. It's not for everybody. But I like them. And I almost didn't buy those 5s that came out soon after these because I thought they were going to be very similar, the Easter ones. But no, it was different enough once they got them side by side. But yeah, overall, I'm cool with these. In some ways, I just wish I had maybe like waited a little longer because, again, if I could have got them for a lower price, that would have been cool. But I'm not going to worry about it because I actually like them a fair amount. You know what I'm saying? So for that reason, I'm cool with them as they are. And I don't know if I said it, but like walking around in them just for the day, they feel better than like your average Jordan shoe does, at least to me. So that's nice. Oh man, like these right here. Remember when this came around? Like when React was like the new thing? So this is the React Element 87, right? They also had the Element 55 that had like same sort of feeling material, but it didn't have the transparency. See, like these, you can kind of see down in there just a little bit. You can kind of see like that inner, what is that? Like that paper that's kind of helps keep the shape and all that. It's got like the cork insole and stuff. So these have some cool things going on about them. I have like 4 pairs of these, I want to say. And so looking at them now, like going back and pulling them back out because it's been a while, these feel like really good. This is kind of like an odd feeling in some ways because it is like a very plasticky sort of mesh. It's not like your normal mesh you see on like other Air Maxes or things like that. So it is what it is. But it's going to give you some very good all-day comfort, which is a thing I'm a huge fan of. I don't think Nike's really pushing the React thing a whole lot anymore, though, for whatever reason. But if they ever bring it back, I wouldn't mind them making more React Visions, and maybe a couple more of these too would be nice. So They do still do like a lot of like the running shoes. I forget which, like the React Infinity Run Flyknits. Those are obviously React, right? It's right there in the name. But I don't really see a whole lot of React things being like, the focal point of any of their sales and stuff. So this right here, the Air Max 96 2. Going back to what I was saying about what was that? The Kayano 14s and stuff, right? Looking at like older retro runner type shoes or whatever. I mean, this one's fine. Like it's cool. I like the color combination that they went with here. Slightly different materials. I'm gonna lean towards liking the other ones that I have more than this one because this sort of mesh feeling, it's just not as good, right? I'm glad this is different than the other pair, so that way I don't feel like I have two of the same shoe just in different colors. But either way, so looking at these and then looking at like those Kayano 14s, things like that, it's stuff like that that makes me think I would have been a pretty big Asics fan right about now if I had jumped into Asics many, many years ago, right? But things work the way they work, and so I do like them now, and I do, have a big thing for the Air Maxes as well. But to be completely honest, right, which is what I try to do when I'm doing these things, these are cool, but like they're not the best thing in the world. So even though the Air Maxes will always be like the cornerstone of my collection and such, I can't sit here and act like they're always going to be like the best choice because they just aren't. But don't think I'm going to stop buying them, right? I'm still going to check out all the new models that I can, minus, well, I won't say minus the Scorpion, but I'm going to have to be in a certain kind of mood to buy an Air Max Scorpion because that thing's like $200 and something and it looks ridiculous. But again, I'm not saying I won't do it, just saying it might not be soon. This is a foam posit, right? So closing out the week, Halloween things. So it's kind of cool. It's got like that sort of green slimy thing with like the swirls in here and stuff, right? So I was like, yeah, we'll do this. Why not? So I'm a foam posit guy. They aren't for everybody. I get that. And if you just can't get past the look, I wouldn't even bother trying to make yourself like them, right? Because sometimes people just don't like things and you just got to accept that. But this right here, I don't know what it was, but I got my first pair, which was the University Blue pair back in 2016, maybe early 17. And I was like, yeah, these are pretty cool, right? And since then I've been a fan, right? I wish they would make them more often, but at the same time, when they were making them, a lot of the colors were bad. So I don't know. You want them to make them, and then you don't want them to make them. You got to pick a side, right? I'm not sure which side I would rather have. Either way, these right here, wearing them all day, I'm cool with them, right? Sizing wise, I do know there's a difference between like this is a 1. The pros have that big swoosh on the side. I'm not a fan of the pros because I don't like that big swoosh on the side. I have the Dr. Dooms, but that's it. And then there is a bit of a sizing difference between the two. And I can't remember what people say, but most people seem to agree that one of them is like a half size off of the other, right? But if you go through any of those other videos of mine that I've done, you'll probably see somebody talk about it in the comments or whatever. I just can never remember because I generally just go true to size and call it a day. But it's the foam posit, it's expensive, but they look kind of cool in some cases. So here they are, right? Past that, I mean, what can you really say about them? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on it. I don't care if you buy it or not. Like, it really just doesn't affect me. If you try a pair out because of something I said, all right, cool, fantastic. Let me know how that works out for you, good or bad. And then we'll have us a little conversation. And now, moving on to the last pair. Let's go ahead and get this out. So, wrap things up, last day of October happened to be Halloween. Of course, they went with the Friday the 13th shoes, right? Let's go ahead and pull these things out. So, as some of you know, they do glow in the dark. Which one? This one. Keep my flashlights over here. One is normal and the other one's, the black light thing. Yeah, you can kind of see like the green tint in there. If you were to watch like the video or whatever, I got some pretty good shots in there of the whole thing. So You can kind of see a little bit in there that it does glow. So that's cool, right? Otherwise, like I said about those green pair, like the comfort, man, it sucks, right? You look in there, it's just nothing, right? Now, if I bought an insole, would that make them better? More than likely, sure. But I like things to just be a complete package right off the top. But since these are pretty cool in themselves, that was enough for me. So I just kind of looked the other way on it. But there we go. That is everything, right? So, pending any questions and such, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up, right? After I get this box closed, so I can push all this, slide the stuff off to the side. Anything in there? Okay, cool, fantastic. So, from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Eventually, I'll start doing actual like shoe reviews. I want to start doing that sooner rather than later because if you've been following me over on the old Instagram and whatnot, you've seen that I've been buying a lot of stuff. I just haven't been talking about it because I got to put more attention at some other things right about now. But eventually, all these things, I don't know. I think it's like a backlog of like 18 to 20 pairs of stuff, right? That I have to actually do videos on eventually. I'm in no rush though. But either way, that's just a little bit of information for anybody who was curious as to, if I'll be doing any more stuff anytime soon. Probably not for at least a month. So there's that answer for you. But like I said, that's it for me. I'm going to turn this thing off because I've covered everything I need to cover. I was just talking long enough to see if anybody needed to throw any last comments in there, and they didn't. So that's cool. All right, fantastic. Later, people.